Hi. Dun, 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 dun. Is that news music?
That's news music.
That's supposed to be news music. All right, so as of 3 p.m. 16th of May 2020, there have been 7,036. We finally cracked 7K. God, I've been waiting for that for.
Boom!
Still haven't cracked 100 deaths, only 98. And I think there's about 500 active cases at the moment in the whole of Australia.
Okay, and how many extra cases have we had in Victoria this week? Oh, there you go, 20.
Newly confirmed cases. Is this us reading a text message?
Bringing the news to
We're
you.
so modern. We're using the WhatsApp
App?
service, the WhatsApp app. Do you remember when that first started being a thing and you had to find that in the store and you're like, what's app?
No.
Oh, okay, you still don't have it.
No, I don't.
Okay, but yeah, so it has been sort of reinforced that it's probably fine now. What we've also realised, because we've been broadcasting our entire journey, is that everybody who knows us thinks that we will never come out of quarantine. I don't know what kind of crazy bullshit we've been projecting, but that is not exactly our intention. Like
Yeah, it turns out we're the only ones who actually isolated, and everyone else just ran around, getting high together, having parties, sucking each other off. You're all fucking, and only us have taken isolation seriously. And even then, the cases still haven't exploded in Victoria. Like I thought in the wake of last week's Freedom's lockdown protest that we'd get a spike as 800 anti-vaxxers rub their, spit all over each other and they'd all get ill. I thought there was a chance. Like, not huge because the infection is so low that even at 800 people, it's statistically unlikely that any one of them was sick.
But again, I just want to reiterate, like, the entire reason that I think we still, that this has worked is because we all did such a good job of taking it seriously. I don't,
yes.
It's a evidence of having not done. It's an evidence of omission as opposed to an evidence of action. And that feels counterintuitive and like it's not a real thing, but I don't think it means that this was all in vain. If anything, this has all been like a success. And then other varying factors have meant that Australia was more out of luck, circumstance, like space,
geography,
timeline, all of those
population
factors.
Density.
Yeah.
Tell you what has happened in the wake of the lockdown protest is people who were there have started receiving fines. So if you have a couple of police officers turn up on your doorstep because you attended the protest last week, remember to put your fingers in your ears and scream Magna Carta over and over again until they give up and go away. Constitution! And be sure to conflate communist, socialist, and fascist, because they all mean the same thing apparently.
Absolutely, and Daniel Andrews is all three.
He is all three.
At the same time.
He's the three-headed overlord who doesn't want any of us to go outside. But we have apparently been going outside, and thus far, it hasn't been a complete fucking disaster. So, congratulations.
Yeah, good job,
Congratulations.
Australia.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so this is kind of, this is not so news-centric. It's more of I feel like it's like a theme that has emerged because of this whole situation.
Okay.
So, you are aware of the film Plandemic, right? We don't need to.
Yes.
This is not going to be a debunk. Like I don't want to give that the time of day.
Yeah, people who know more than us have already cut it to pieces.
Yeah, go and watch. We'll link some great debunks in the thing.
But we won't link to Plandemic itself because otherwise this whole thing will get pulled from YouTube and you'll never get to see it.
Right. We're already spreading enough fake news, so don't want to get that anymore taken down. So anyway, so basically, every time, I mean, you see it happen with any documentary, but you'll have the initial piece of media, in this case it's Plandemic, then you'll have the backlash to the media, and then you have the analysis that comes out about the backlash to the backlash, and the old clickbait circle goes round.
You disappear up our
There
analysis.
has been an article that came out from The Conversation that's been reposted on everybody's favorite fact-checking website, Snopes.com, that is all about the 7 signs or values of a conspiratorial thinking. So we've been thinking about conspiratorial thinking for a while because at the start of this whole thing, we felt conspiratorial, or we felt like we were having the, is this really
We
real?
were the guys through the looking glass,
tinfoil hats.
taking it seriously when no one else was. We were in the minority.
That's right. And so now we're looking at people who are protesting this, and obviously the instinct is to be like, you fucking idiots, what are you doing? However, obviously that's super unhelpful. And what I'm more interested in is trying to understand how does somebody, because for the longest time the Flat Earth documentary comes out and you're like, how is
this a thing?
No, not just how it's a thing, but how do otherwise, reasonable people get to a point where they're like, ready to take that on. And that's been, people have explored that, extensively already. So, okay, so this article posits that these are the 7 areas of conspiratorial thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's being contradictory, overriding suspicion. There's an assumption of nefarious intent, that there's an assumption that there must be something wrong, that you're a persecuted victim, that there's an immunity to evidence, like the confirmation bias or selective, what do they call it? We read the article the other day where they had a great word for it. And then a misunderstanding about randomness. So randomness, and this is, I think you see this a lot, and it's really hard when we hear mortality numbers, like anything over kind of 100, 1,000, it's just like imperceivable, and all of this comes from our stupid monkey brains aren't really built to be dealing with this much stuff going on, or this many factors, or this amount of having to know anything about anything, right? Like, we're not.
It's really more than you ever traditionally had to know in order to survive in the world.
100%.
Yeah.
So in a book I was reading recently, they were talking about a marine biologist who was like so comfortable with the fact that they need to use modeling in order to do their job, because everything that you would need to hold in your human mind to do that job is literally impossible. Like, you couldn't possibly hold all the fishy facts in your head in order to do their job. They put it all into a computer, and that's totally fine. So on that sort of area, why would we ever feel as humans, like at the moment, I feel like we live where we're expected to know and have an answer about everything.
Informed.
Yeah.
Are you informed?
Which is impossible, because in order to be actually informed about any one thing, you'd have to be so well versed, so well read, you wouldn't have time. This is like that thing of pick your battles. Like,
yeah, it's like you own a car, but you can't build a car.
Don't need
I
to.
own a computer, but it's all magic under the hood, and when it doesn't work, Josie fixes it for me.
Right.
Because I don't have the time to master this
You
thing.
have to be okay to live in modern society to just let some things go without you understanding it. And sure, someone might deride and sneer at you because we don't know how electricity is made, although we did look it up one time and we're like, oh wow, electricity. But
but what are you going to do? The wheel? I don't know. I think I'll do my own research first.
No, why?
Yeah, it's been invented, fuck it. Stand on those shoulders.
Exactly. It's okay to stand on the shoulders of giants. So I think I'm just like, I feel like I have yet to fully understand what this is, but it does seem like the individualism as a sociological theory of putting forward that an individual is the moral superior thing and that like it's a paramount, has created a thing where people who need not enter the conversation feel it's their duty, nay right, to do so, and it's not helpful. We don't all need to know. Right? Sure, be critical.
But that's kind of the point of a society, is we all fill different roles, so the whole thing works together. Not everyone has to know everything.
Specialization, right?
Yes.
So I think I'm just not sure why or how this is helpful. Like, are you comfortable not knowing? Do you feel the pressure to know everything, or to know enough about it to like have an opinion, but be so well versed, even though you haven't taken even an undergrad level in
all these things?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's part of the issue is trust. Yes. It's like if trust hadn't been so damaged by the people in charge, then I wouldn't feel the need to go, don't know, I might do my own research before I use it.
But that's applauded, isn't it? That like
it is,
mistrust is
be informed.
So, but
just
why?
Gonna trust the wheel, you sheeple.
Yeah, but why? Yeah. Why is that mistrust a positive characteristic?
Well, you kind of said it in our lockdown report, the lockdown protest report, when you talked about how some people venerate skepticism so much that it becomes the lens through which they view the world.
Everything.
And it doesn't matter, up is up. Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that sort of
is the perspective.
As if you doubt everything, you're more likely to be right all the time, or something like that. Or you won't get fooled. And I think people, there's so much, and they do sort of construct narratives in the media and politically and stuff, and people buy into those. And you don't want to get suckered. Like, no one wants to get conned. Right. Oh, you sent your details to the African prince for the bank transfer, you sucker. And everyone's worried about being conned, but as a result, they become so defensive that they become like a brick wall that information bounces off. Because they refuse to accept anything at face value.
I feel like the ones that we're so afraid of being fooled are the ones that get politicized. The perfect example that just occurred to me is the case of Pluto being a planet, not being a planet, and then maybe being a planet again. I can't remember where we landed on with Pluto. But do you remember when it's like a fact we knew about the world that we were taught and we just accepted, and I haven't seen whether Pluto was or wasn't a planet. I just got taught it and we were like, yep, planet. Then it was unplaneted.
Yeah.
Like, That's like, there's no real political issue. It was funny for a minute to be like, I am anti, I believe it's still a planet. I choose to believe it's still a planet. But I think like...
I'm going to Jerry Smith this, yeah.
It's the issues that end up politicized that we are unable to let go and relinquish that control, because again, there's some, I guess, sociological fear of being...
Well, it's destabilizing. It's like that video we watched that we will put in the comments about everything you know about the primary colours is bullshit. And it's not red, yellow, blue at all. It's different.
Right.
But it's been the building block of how we understand colours for so long.
Is it like magenta's not real?
Yeah. And people go, what? No, these are the primary colours because I learnt in primary school. It's the same thing where people wig out about it's men and women and nothing else. And
Yeah.
Do you
remember when we learned that there was that new flavor, umami or
Umami.
something? But we were like,
what the fuck are you talking about?
We lived like collectively like 70 years of life before we knew that was a flavor that existed.
Yeah, what's umami? Kind of like beef, is my understanding. What's human flesh like? A bit like umami.
Umami.
And because it doesn't even sound like it's from the same linguistic family as salty, sour, bitter.
Umami.
So primary colours, all a lie. Do some research. Look it up. Don't believe the narrative you've been told. You've just been indoctrinated to understand the three primary colours of it's bullshit.
Magenta is a lie.
Yeah.
So that article, just to bring it back to that, suggests that the main tool to help conspiratorial thinking, or to like combat it, is to encourage analytical or critical thinking. So, okay, but I have to say, who the fuck doesn't think that they're thinking critically?
Oh, I know most conspiracy theorists have welcomed me when I've said, are you sure you're not thinking critically? Funnily enough, that doesn't go over. And in my own arguments, I have not welcomed it as a counter-argument myself.
What I wanted to ask you is, and what I'm really interested in, is effective methods of changing or having conversations with people that don't immediately are just, two people who are never going to come to the table or talk about the same page. Like, how do you actually talk to someone and have a hope? Like, I don't think
without
just
being
like,
a filthy
you're
centrist.
Or extremely condescending to be like, I don't think you're thinking critically. Which is, again, I definitely, when I hear these things, I feel like they're so they seem so ridiculous, and I don't have the patience to, I guess, to have that open dialogue. But how do you approach it with someone? Like, have you ever successfully changed someone's mind, a la change my mind table in a park, where they clearly do not want their mind to be changed?
If I saw Stephen Crowder sitting at the table, I would fucking bicycle kick him over that table in a second.
I don't know that
change your mind with my fucking fist.
Don't know that's the answer that I was looking for.
I will punch your opinion. I have changed people's minds, and I have had my mind changed, and hearts, yes, and faces. But no, I've changed minds and had my mind changed. But it's like I kind of said at the lockdown special we did, where it relies on the capacity of the other person to accept the possibility that they could be wrong.
Yeah, you both have to have that as the basis.
And the danger is, if you go in, I always have the capacity to understand that I could be wrong. So if I enter into an argument or a debate with someone who cannot move at all, then all I'm doing is sort of risking having my own beliefs and understandings eroded. Yeah, if I go in there and argue with Tom Cruise about Scientology, I'm not going to move him. And if anything, if I spend enough time under his hypnotic laser eyes gaze, I could end up, not only believing in Scientology, but accidentally marrying him. So it's not worth the risk sometimes of engaging with these people.
But then I wonder, how do you, I don't know if I was to have a conversation with someone who hands down thought that pandemic was fact and true, would I have to then enter that conversation thinking that they might convince me that they were correct, that it is fact and true? I don't know that I still feel like there's a moral superiority of where you still think that you're I'm coming down off my mountain of correctness to lead you. Yeah, and that still feels like an unhelpful way.
I think there's another risk that if you even engage with someone on their beliefs, I don't believe some beliefs are worthy of the time of day. And I've heard recently about some of the things that we've been talking about in terms of the protest, where people are going, I like to hear both sides. I'm like, do you? If someone said, Alex, did you murder a busload of nuns? I know I didn't, and I know it's bullshit. So funnily enough, I don't feel compelled to, honor their argument at all by engaging with it. But like, no, it's absolutely wrong. No, I'm not going to debate with you as to whether I murdered a busload of nuns, because I'm not even going to allow you to platform yourself to say that bullshit. Some arguments don't have merit. Some things are incontrovertibly wrong. Some people are unredeemably stupid.
You think that
you don't necessarily need, that thing where they're like, debate me, you coward. No, because your platform is hate and bigotry, and I'm not going to debate you because I don't want to hear your shit.
Yeah, I definitely, I see what you're saying. I feel like it definitely is a choice whether you open the dialogue or not. But I think all of it circles back to the idea that why are we now valuing all opinions to the point where, again, we should even be having like
probably those smartphones, mate. Smartphones and social media have allowed every moron to have a platform, and we've moved into this space where we don't venerate education. Like all these motherfuckers saying, "I've done my research." Have you written essays on your research
have you done, like,
and submitted to people more research than you for review and challenge?
Evidence, not that sort of research is the only form of knowing.
No, but I think if you just consume and you don't have your comprehension skills of that matter
pushed or tested.
Yeah, like some of these people are consuming this shit and they wouldn't even pass a test on this shit. Like based on the matrices of the way they consider this to be fact. And these are people who sort of don't understand how learning works.
Maybe. I don't know. Ultimately, I am not sure the best method to help bring people to the table of even being open to the ideas of others. But I think the main thing that I've learned is that at least compassion or empathy for your interlocutor is the best thing. Like to try to understand. Ridicule
doesn't seem to be tremendously effective because in marginalizing them, they become the underdog.
Dehumanized. They become dehumanized, and then
but to them, they become the plucky. They become the rebellion.
Yeah,
they become the plucky underdog.
Which I think is what I'm getting to. So I think with these movements that we would normally, you wouldn't give it the light of day, and it seems so ridiculous that you're like, well, God, only crazy people would believe that. However, I think that dismissive summarization of their beliefs or total denial that there is any
if you point and laugh, you just galvanize them.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, the baseline where they're coming from a lot of the time is skepticism, which is healthy in many cases, and there is reasons not to trust the government. There is,
there are reasons to question what you're told in the news.
Maybe don't bang, 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 bang.
Dang, 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 dang.
So, ultimately, I think there's still so much work to be done, but I don't know that ridicule and outward mocking is gonna... I mean, I say that as we have almost essentially done those things, but I know I am...
Well, it's hard because they're fucking idiots.
But I am conscious at the same time that it is unhelpful. So
it is, yeah. You got to try and remember to be compassionate.
Keep working and remember that we're all people, mostly.
And,
except for the lizard people.
And full confession, I do engage in a more hyperbolic mode of delivery here than I do in the world.
Yeah.
Which I think is...
It's because this is a comedy video. So
that's right. Oh, we're fucked as people. Oh, society. Shit.
Oh, boy.
So look, the most important thing in the wake of this video is that you all comment below to say how fabulous my mad cat shirt looks. Okay? If you liked the cat shirt, like. If you hated the cat shirt, like. If you want to see more cat shirt, subscribe, share the video, force it upon other people, be cool to one another, and party.